Innerworldrevealed. This is Aditi and our topic today is numerology challenge numbers. Now before I get into the topic, I would like to say that in my last log, which was about the trends of the year 2014, I had asked you 3 questions and I had said upon answering them correctly, you get a chance to win a completely personalized numerology evaluation for you. So by the end of the log today, we will go through a lucky draw or a random selection for the winning entry. So watch out for that. Now, again, today we are going to have one new question which will again give you a chance, like upon answering that correctly, you again get a chance to get a completely personalized numerology evaluation for you. So watch out for that. Now, let us get back to the topic. So the topic is numerology challenge numbers. So what do numerology challenge numbers mean? What is their significance? Let us find out in this log. So we all are born with our strengths and weaknesses, and once we have a look at the numerology profiles we have, we can find out our strong points and our weak points. So numerology is a tool, I'd say it's rather a weapon which you can actually effectively use for self-improvement, because once you know what are your weak points, once you can pinpoint the qualities which are actually without your knowledge acting against you, you can actually do something about it, because these are the qualities which are actually creating hindrances or obstacles in your life path, or the path that will give the fullest satisfaction to your soul. So we all are students of life. Life places challenges and obstacles in our path so that we learn from them, we learn our lessons, and then we move on. We become better individuals. And these challenges and obstacles placed by life are being identified or indicated by the challenge numbers. So we are born with 4 challenges and we face them at different periods of time in our lives. The only exception is our 3rd challenge, which is also known as the main challenge, that we have to learn the major lesson in our lives from. The effect of the 3rd or the main challenge can be felt throughout the life. Now let us see how we can calculate the 4 challenges. Okay. So let us consider a date of birth which is 5th of August 1990. So that's 5/8/1990 reducing to 581. Now these 3 numbers are very important because these are the period cycle numbers. So 8 is the first period, 5 is the second period, and 1 is the third period over here. Okay, the first challenge is first period minus second period, so that's 8 minus 5 equals 3. The second challenge is second period minus third period, so that's 5 minus 1 equals 4. And the third challenge is the main challenge, so that's the second challenge minus the first challenge, so that's 4 minus 3 equals 1. And the fourth challenge is the first period minus the third period, so 8 minus 1 equals 7 for this case. So all the numbers from 1 to 9 have their positive qualities and their negative qualities, and if you derive a number as a challenge number, it actually means that that particular number is manifesting its qualities as negatives. The challenge number calculation in numerology is one rare occasion which uses subtraction as a method instead of addition. Like earlier in my logs, you might have seen everywhere we actually add numbers, but over here we subtract numbers. So in this case, deriving a challenge number of a 0 is a very common possibility, but deriving a 0 does not actually mean that there are no challenges at all. 0 actually means a lot of challenges. So we will be actually going from all the numbers from 0 to 8, because 9, getting a challenge number 9 is not a possibility. It will always be less than 9 because we are using subtraction over here. Zero in numerology stands for eternity. It's a complete circle. So a 0 challenge might often find challenges coming from all directions, and the 0 might not know where to go and what to choose. A friend of mine once quoted that we are all like mirrors. The more rubs we get, better gets our polish. So, a zero challenge is something like that. It gets a lot of rubs from all different directions and it gets a good polish. So, finally, by the end of it, a zero becomes a person who is extraordinary. Now, guys, each of the people we discuss here today are legends, and it is not possible to define them in few words. So, I'd be soon liking to dedicate complete video logs on each of them. So, as you can see, here we have Kurt Cobain with a zero challenge in his early life. So, as I said, that the challenge zero faces troubles from all sides. So, during his early childhood, his parents had a pretty rocky marriage, and that finally ended up in a divorce. As his family separated, he became withdrawn and found refuge in his guitar. More unhappiness he found around himself, more drowned he went into his music. And finally, he became the master of his artistic talent. So, that's the zero challenge for you. Challenges from all directions, or sometimes might be no challenges at all. But in between all odds, you still evolve into the above ordinary. One is a number that stands for ego, self-esteem, individuality, and independence. When one is coming as a challenge number, what really happens is one is manifesting its qualities obviously in the negative way. So the person with the challenge one is actually feeling these qualities, ego, self-esteem, independence, individuality, under threat and being suppressed. Let us see, for example, the early life history of sensational Madonna. Normally, what happens is, with the challenge one in the early part of the life, children find people as immediate surroundings as threats to their individuality. It can be a parent, a step parent, or even a sibling. So they just compete. So, what actually happened with Madonna was she lost her birth mother at the age of 5. Then she had a stepmother who made her take care of all the younger children in the household. And Madonna just hated it. There was a lot of resentment, and she just went to be a rebel and showed her individuality, rejecting all that was being imposed upon her. So, that is the challenge number one. It's like a rebellion for individuality and to be heard. Two is a number that indicates sensitivity and emotions. So when 2 comes as a challenge, it means a little too brimming with emotions and a little too sensitive, because these are the people who take others a little too seriously. They are always bothered about what others think of them. You say a little thing and they can be immediately, immensely, deeply and very hurt. So they are like an antenna and they are always trying to catch your waves. They are always trying to read you and they're worried about your opinion about them. Whoops, we have Albert Einstein with the first challenge too. Well, when Einstein attended elementary school, he excelled in his studies. Of course, quite obviously, who else other than him could have? But at the same time, he also felt alienated and also experienced a speech difficulty during his early days. He would speak very slowly and would have sudden pauses where he would think for a long time about what exactly to say and he won't be able to decide. So that's the challenge too. The challenge of oversensitivity, which makes you suffer from self-doubt, indecisiveness and low confidence level. But you see, it also made an Einstein. So it is like flipping a challenge into an advantage. 3 is a number that stands for creativity, communication and self-expression. The negatives of 3 are scattering its energy and skill and When 3 appears as a challenge number, it means that the person is unable to focus or concentrate on a particular point and is scattering his energy. So he's starting a lot of things, trying to do a lot of things, and finally specializing in none. So here we have Jackie Chan with the first challenge 3. During his childhood, he was known to be a super high energy child. He still is so high energy. So when Jackie Chan went to primary school, he failed in the very first year, which led to his parents withdrawing him from school and sending him to drama academy. He then lived there alone without parents at the age of 7. So he learned a lot of things over there like singing, dancing, martial arts and many more. Later, he began his career again at an early age of 17 with a series of flop movies which lacked originality. Finally, he realized his ultimate gift of great comic timing and quirky stance, of course. So that's the challenge 3. It knows deep within there is the hidden treasure, but it is initially unable to tap or express it. 4 is the number that stands for stability and solidity. So when 4 appears as a challenge number in your life, it means that you are at that point of time not enjoying what the act that is bringing stability in your life. So when it comes in your early life, it means that you are not enjoying or identifying with your studies. When it comes in your midlife, it might mean that you're not identifying or liking to do the job that is about to bring stability in your life. If you go through the early life of Steve Jobs, you would find a very smart but directionless Steve Jobs. He was riddled with the frustrations over formal schooling as he was obviously beyond average and had a brilliant mind with innovative thinking. However, as he experimented with various different things and the ordinary people around him so found that he was possibly very useless, careless, or possibly totally irresponsible. So that's the challenge 4 for you. You don't find your day to day work, studies, or anything for that matter of fact that brings stability to your life very gratifying. And in the end, you appear inefficient to people. But then, if that makes us a bit of Steve Jobs, who would mind a challenge 4? 5 is a number that stands for change and adventure. So what happens with the people with the challenge number 5 is they become very unstable in certain ways because they are guided by their whims and fancies and often appear to be a little wild. So it might be that they are a little difficult to predict and you cannot really bank upon them every time. Marilyn Monroe, a star who was suddenly gone at the age of 36. If we go through her early life, it was full of ups and downs and of bitter experiences. She was a dreamer who got to live in a nightmare. Part myth, part media creation, part orphan. Driven and ambitious, yet so weak and vulnerable. Magnetic, but emotionally unstable, unreliable, one who lived a life full of whims and fancies. So that's the challenge 5. Suffering from indecisiveness, running away from responsibilities. Trying to resist changes, paranoid about the changes, and suddenly destroying or ending and changing things. It's the sense of freedom gone a little wild. Now, guys, let's not get too serious because we also have Mr. Bean with the same challenge. 6 always tries to be in control of all the situations. So when 6 appears as a challenge number, it means that too much of a quality control. So the person with the challenge number 6 often sets such high standards for people that often people are unable to meet them. You talk about standards, I give you Pablo Picasso, one of the greatest and most influential artists of the 20th century. Now, who can live up to his standards? No, not me, not ever. So, he's being quoted saying, "When I was a child, my mother said to me, if you become a soldier, you'll be a general. If you become a monk, you'll end up as the Pope. Instead, I became a painter and wound up as Picasso." Seven stands for intense emotions and explorations in the mind. So when seven appears as a challenge number, you might often seem to suppress the deepest and the most intense emotions, and these emotions might often become obsession and they might not find an outlet by you. So if you're faced with this challenge in your early life or your childhood, you might become a little withdrawn or introverted. You might have a lot of things in your mind, a lot of deep and intense feelings in your mind that come to the point of an obsession and do not find an outlet. Whoa, so we have Elvis Presley. So very unlikely, but it's a fact. He had 7 as the early life challenge. During his entire childhood, he always had the support of very warm and loving parents. But even then, his childhood was not entirely free of turbulences. He had a twin brother, Jesse, whom he lost in the childhood, and he was always mindful of his twin brother's ghostly presence watching over him, ensuring that he tried to do the right thing always. Eerie, isn't it? 8 is a number that stands for harvest, rewards, and material accomplishments. So, when 8 appears as a challenge number in somebody's charts, it means they feel that money is the ultimate goal and that can solve all problems. So, they set out in their lives to accomplish money, power, authority, and that's all that matters for them. Wolfgang Mozart was born in the family of very talented musicians. So he began pretty early in life. By the age of 12, he had written a whole opera. He was a passionate musician and his works were obviously out of this world, and many musicians world over shamelessly copied him. But he was unbeatable and unreachable. He never considered emotions to be his weakness ever in life and passionately chased his goals and is known as a prolific and influential composer of the classical era. So, it can be a challenge of greed, or it can be flipped around in being more goal oriented and never losing focus. So, those are the 9 challenges for you. Now, let us have a look at today's question. So, today's question is actually this picture. It's actually 4 pictures put together. Have a close look at it. And the question is, which word connects the 4 pictures? Now, once you're ready with the answers, you also mail me your personal details, which include your date of birth, your name at birth, and changed name in frequent use, if any. All the entries have to be sent by the 20th of January 2014, and all the mails have to be sent to chilipepperstore@gmail.com. That's my email ID. Now, let us have a look at last week's questions. Answers to the previous log's questions are: name of the prince was Deependra, month of the South Asian tsunami was December, and the name of the dwarf planet was Eris. So I've listed all the correct entries out here in this box. Now, some of you have actually forgotten to send me your personal details. Please make it sure that this time you do. So let's shuffle. Okay. So now we will pick the winner, and the winner is, let us see, Karen Burke. Whoa, congratulations, Karen. You will get your personalized numerology report shortly, within 3 to 4 days of time from now. So that'll be all for today. In my next log, I will be talking about the numerology name change confusion, and that's going to be a very interesting log because the name change confusion is the biggest confusion world over in numerology. So I will try my personal best to do justice to the topic, and I will try my best to be back as soon as possible, as I get late every time, you can see. And to my lovely viewers and subscribers, thanks a lot for watching me, and thanks a lot for encouraging and motivating me. If you liked watching the log, please click like below and like the log because that counts. And for the time being, thanks a lot for watching Inner World Revealed. Have a nice day.